What up? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? I want all the smoke with anybody who believes Jake Paul won that fight. I want all the smoke with whoever believes Jake Paul won that fight. Unacceptable decision by the judges. So y'all can call in. Let me put the code in. Copy the clipboard. Anybody who wants to smoke, right there in the chat is the link for you guys to call in. Must be a touchy subject. Representing for the gangster around the world, still hitting corners. I'm low. Mm. Yo, whether you agree or disagree, you can call in, chop it up with me about, oh, person left. I'm gonna have to get y'all up to speed, man. Some of y'all just be coming in and not contributing to what's going on. That's no bueno. What up, what up? Do you agree or disagree? I believe Tyron Woodley beat the brakes off of Jake Paul, and that Jake Paul was gifted that win. Looks to me like nobody wants to talk about it, so I must be right. Roll call. Who is that? And do you agree or disagree? And are you willing to call in? I'm just gonna make this an upload later, so I'm willing to sit here as long as it takes. To somebody, either wants to tell me how much they agree with me, or if somebody wants to smoke. Because I know there's a good amount of Jake Paul supporters out there that probably believe that he won that fight. That's brainwash. The judges don't always get it right. And from what we saw after Jake Paul fell and held himself up with the ropes, we also saw that the refs don't always get it right with that situation and with Tyson Fury. When he got knocked out by Deontay Wilder in their first fight. This ain't nothing new, man. They've been willing to let certain fighters, slide with certain things. Thank you so much, Norman. I agree. Lost miserably. Hey, if you want, I could post a link. If you can't see the link, I'll post it again so you can call in. I'm realizing I'm not gonna get no callers tonight that actually want smoke. I don't think anybody's gonna get on camera and defend Jake Paul. I commentated the fight live. Exactly. Not only did he have him on the ropes, but Jake fell into the ropes. And I know they're going to try to use a technicality and say, oh, well, his glove didn't touch the canvas. Okay, well, when people fall all the way out of the ring, they count it as a knockdown, even though the gloves don't touch. What up, Norman? Hold on, let me double screen it for you. I'm trying to change the setting. Okay, add to stream. Yeah, Jake definitely got rounds he did not deserve.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Norman.
All right, so first of all, I want to say I love you. You're one of my favorites.
Appreciate you, man.
And second of all I needed to see was Tyron get Jake against the ropes. That's all.
Yeah.
He lost, in my opinion.
And the crazy thing is, not only did he get him against the ropes, but like he was dazing Jake the entire fight. Like Jake was stumbling around. He actually turned his back to Tyron Woodley a couple times, and
his face was red and everything.
You said what?
His face was all red.
Yeah, and I didn't see. I maybe saw one or two flush punches landed on Tyron Woodley, and some people are saying, oh well, Tyrone didn't let his hands go and all this extra stuff. Nah, he didn't have to. Jake didn't let his hands go either. And when he did, he was just tapping gloves.
Tyrone gave him the work. That's all I got to say.
And that's what makes me feel like, that the refs, the judges had to be in Jake's pocket. He's throwing out a ridiculous amount of cash that he got from YouTube to all these fighters who have never seen it before. Who's to say he's not throwing the same cash to these refs and these judges? Because for a ref to see that and not count it as a knockdown, it like really,
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to you for jumping in here, Norman, and shout out to you for also being one of my biggest supporters, man. You always show up, always show love. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry for not being here for that big gap. My baseball schedule has been real heavy. I'm in the middle of recruiting right now.
Man, you've been rocking with me for like, what, 3 years now? So you already know, if you're in sports, I'm always going to tell you to pick that first. Always.
All right. I love you, man. See ya.
All right. Love you too, man. Jake Rounds. Oh, yeah. Evo Demon Slayer 45. I agree with you, buddy. At the end of the day, it's just one of those things where you're gonna have certain people that can do certain things in that ring. They can do certain things outside of the ring, and there will be no consequences. There may be backlash, but that backlash is just gonna come off as fan bantering or somebody crying because their favorite fighter lost or some crap like that. But let Deontay Wilder, or matter of fact, let that fight have gone the opposite way around. And Tyron Woodley did exactly what Jake Paul did, and Jake Paul did exactly what Tyron Woodley did. Everybody would be saying that Tyron Woodley got the brakes beat off of him. And they would have brought up the same thing we're bringing up right now, the simple fact that Jake Paul was all on the ropes. He clearly got tagged up. Hey, like Tyron Woodley didn't need to throw 1,000 punches in that fight. His ring generalship was impeccable, guys. Crazy, man. Crazy. And does anybody know if I haven't looked into it yet, but does anybody know if Tyron Woodley actually got that tattoo? I'm gonna need him not to do that. Don't give Jake Paul the satisfaction. Tyron Woodley did not lose that fight. Therefore, that little agreement they had is void. The judges got it wrong. And both fighters know the judges got it wrong. Jake Paul knows he didn't win that fight. He knows he didn't win that fight. I'm pretty sure even casual boxing fans know that Jake Paul did not win that fight. What up, NBA Live OG? Yeah, like I'm honestly just I'm sick of it, bro. I'm sick of it. And the crazy thing is like he called out what we were gonna say before he took this fight because he knew he was gonna get handed the W. He was gonna say, "Hey, when this happens, y'all are gonna say, oh, I haven't been out in there with a real boxer, but I'm in there with a legend, this, that, and other." Man, shut up. Fight a boxer that's not a welterweight. They definitely gave him that fight, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but Jake Paul, if Tyron Woodley would have continued swinging on him since the ref wouldn't calling it a knockdown, Jake Paul would have been knocked out. He would have been knocked out. I was baffled when they gave the decision. Split decision draw. I mean, a split decision loss. That means that at least one of those judges wanted to do the right thing. Real talk, bro. Like Nate Robinson clearly got beat up. He had no business in there. But no, Tyron Woodley, he gave Jake Paul that work. No question about it. No question about it at all. We're not gonna act like this dude is just the up and coming. This clown had the nerve to say that he'll beat Canelo. He could barely even hit Tyron Woodley. You can't hit Canelo, bro. Jake Paul can't hit Canelo. So disrespectful, bro. And and it's funny though because at a certain point somebody's gonna be like, oh, I fit in, or Nick is hating. He's hating on Jake Paul. No, ain't nobody hating on nobody, bro. Jake Paul lost the fight. Clearly lost the fight. Like, I'm still an amateur. Jake Paul getting in the ring with me, bro, he getting beat up. I might not be big enough to knock him out, but he'll get beat up. He'll barely touch me. Like those little flurries he was throwing, he couldn't even hurt Tyron. He couldn't even hurt him. He landed a flush right hand. That right hand he thinks is so amazing, and he couldn't even hurt him. Jake don't even fight real fighters. Exactly. Like when is Jake Paul actually gonna step in there with somebody that actually boxes? That was Tyron Woodley's debut, and he still beat the brakes off of Jake Paul. Whether them refs got it or them judges got it right or not. Give somebody a fair shake. Man, he didn't want to fight Ryan Garcia for a reason. And Ryan Garcia fights at 135. And I guarantee you, Jake Paul will not get in there with him. He doesn't want to fight actual boxers, bro. And you know what I think it is? He's got like this animosity on his chest about what happened to him the first when he tried MMA, and he got the brakes beat off of him in MMA. So now he's boxing, but he's boxing MMA fighters. I don't want to win if I look terrible doing it. I don't want to have a win under my belt that everybody is saying, man, he lost that fight. I don't want that. I don't even like getting in close fights. Unless it's one of those fights where people will be like, oh, you know, that could have gone either way. I'm happy with either decision. Respectful fights. Like the Sean Porter versus Errol Spence fight, that's the type of win I would want to get if it's a close fight. Like, dang, it was neck and neck until he dropped him type stuff. He is a disgrace to boxing. Exactly. And honestly, I don't even want to include him in the sport, bro. Like, I don't want anybody to include Jake Paul in the sport. I don't want people calling him a boxer. He won't even fight a boxer. Buddy was on the back foot the entire fight. Yeah. Get him in the ring with me. You know that he paid. Yeah, he paid the ref and the judges. Had to. Y'all know it's a wrap. He get in the ring with me. I'll gain weight to fight him. I don't like Jake Paul, bro. Like the dude's trash, bro. He didn't even have a good jab. The only time he throws a decent jab is when he's trying to throw a 1-2. And you can see it from a mile away when he tries to set up that right hand. I didn't see one flick jab. I didn't see one double jab. And nowadays they want us all to triple up on the jab. He never changed his right hand. Like when you throw a 1-2, the right hand has to change its direction. Sometimes you got to throw a hook or a straight right. Sometimes you got to go to the body. Sometimes you got to go for the chin, the nose, the forehead, the temple. Like you have to change the placement of your right hand. If all you're going to throw is one jab to set up the right hand, make sure that you're aiming at different places every time you throw a 1-2. It makes no sense for you to keep trying to hit the same spot the entire time. And he said he wants to fight Canelo. You do that against Canelo, Jake Paul, you go to sleep in the first round. And honestly, the part of me that doesn't believe you have a chance, even though we all have a puncher's chance, the part of me that sees through all the BS wants to say that no matter what you do, you go to sleep in the first round against Canelo. And that's just what it is. Tyron Woodley almost put your lights out in his debut. Somebody get Jake Paul on here. I guarantee you he's not going to fight Mayweather now. He looked just as sloppy against Tyron Woodley as Logan Paul looked against Mayweather. Like the sloppy little flurry punches, like it was sloppy. Jake Paul did not look like somebody who had been training. He was gassed out by like after the second round. And something told me that they weren't going to give Tyron Woodley the win unless he knocked him out. That was the only way Tyron Woodley was going to get the win. They were betting against him from the start. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, I think Logan Paul has a little more stamina than Jake Paul. And he's the bigger brother. Logan Paul only came into the Mayweather fight at 190. But the dude is a good 220. He's much bigger than Jake Paul. Jake Paul is like what? He walks around 205, 210. Logan Paul walks around 220. We're not letting this slide, man. I'm on Jake Paul's head until he fights somebody that actually boxes. Even if it's somebody that like let it be somebody who's actually spent time boxing and it's a pro debut. Fight somebody in your weight class too. Tyron Woodley was a welterweight who just didn't cut weight for this fight, and he still slapped you around. Like, I guess at this point, Jake Paul is okay with being garbage his whole life. Oh, Nick Fury is the younger brother. Let Jake Paul fight Nick Fury. How about that? Fight Nick Fury. He don't want them problems, bro. The Mac Mimad, yes, it was definitely fixed. That's what I was saying earlier when I said I don't think that they would have. The only way they were gonna allow Tyron Woodley to win that fight is if it was something that was clear as day to everybody, which is a knockout. I say he dropped them in every round, then yeah, they would have given him a win. But the fact that they didn't count that as a knockdown in the first, whenever he had him on the ropes, Jake Paul was bent all the way back, meaning if the ropes were not there, he would have fell. That's a knockdown. At all. So the first professional fight he had was with a guy who had never done any amateur boxing, had literally never done anything. He just jumped in the ring as a pro. He got his boxing license. He jumped in the ring for the first time. This guy had never even taken a punch with headgear on. It was another YouTuber. And it was a YouTuber that was much smaller than Jake Paul. And the crazy thing is Ben Askren was giving Jake Paul the business before he got dropped. He couldn't mess with Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was beating the brakes off of him. And honestly, part of me feels like the way they did that, the way they went about it, they were trying to get at Mayweather. They were trying to disrespect Floyd because they know that Floyd had been training him. I mean, how else do you make sense of that? How else do you make sense of somebody getting smacked around the ring, trying to avoid all confrontation, on the back foot the whole entire fight, losing his balance, throwing wild, sloppy punches, and getting countered each time? How do you justify giving that guy the win? How? No, nobody's gonna tell me that Jake Paul won that fight. I refuse to hear it. At all. I was telling somebody today at the boxing gym, like, let Jake Paul come up here and fight one of our amateurs that's his size. He does not walk out of that ring. He gets carried out of that ring. I've been hit by a couple of our cruiserweights, and it hurts. With 16-ounce gloves. 16 ounces. Them guys put on 10 ounces, it's a wrap. Jake Paul does not leave the ring awake. That's exactly why he don't want to fight no boxer at his own weight. He's fighting guys that are smaller than him and do not box. How can you not win? How much you think Tyron got paid? I don't know. But Jake Paul said the only way that he's giving Tyron Woodley the rematch is if Tyron Woodley gets that tattoo. Which, honestly, he doesn't even have to honor it once somebody does something that permanent. And I doubt seriously he'll even honor that rematch. I don't trust Jake Paul. I don't think he's an honest guy. I don't think he has good character. None of it. On the HBO All Access or 24/7, whatever they were on, his mom was saying, like, it makes me uncomfortable that Jake Paul, Jake is so hated, and I don't like it because he's actually a good guy and all that stuff. He's playing a role. He's just acting. Yada, yada. Forget all that. When you disrespect somebody's mother, when you talk about somebody's kids, whenever you put your hands on somebody at a press conference, he disrespected a legend. I'm sorry, but there's certain fighters that when they reach a certain status, you don't disrespect them to sell the fight. That's clown. That's clown stuff. You don't do that. Show your respect. The fight's already made. everybody's going to tune in to watch Mayweather fight. The people that love him and the people that hate him. And regardless of the outcome of the last fight, the fight they watched, they're always going to watch the next fight. A fight with Mayweather sells itself. Would you think he was? I can answer that one, Don. Tyron Woodley was doing that because he wanted to shut up some clown who's disrespecting combat sports. And I guarantee you that Jake Paul is not going to have that same mouthpiece with any other fighter that he had this time, because look what happened when he got in that ring. Everybody saw him get smacked around. You can't even sell the idea that he won that fight. It's not possible. Who's going to go for it? Let Tyron have been going as hard as Jake Paul. Yeah, I also don't like how he didn't seem to have the killer instinct that he normally has. Because when I smell blood, I get more aggressive. Whenever Jake Paul was stuck on the ropes, having a hard time getting off the ropes, and he wasn't being touched, Tyron Woodley should have been drilling his head. Like, man. And it's funny that you say that, Norman, because Tyron Woodley doesn't have to earn Jake's respect. Jake is the one who needs to be trying to earn respect from everybody else. Tyron Woodley is a Hall of Famer MMA fighter. Jake Paul will never really be fully welcomed into the sport. After that crap fest, nah. He ain't got my respect. Not mine. You can offer me $1 million to say that you won that fight, and I'm not going to do it. You can offer me $1 million to say that he won that fight, and I'm not going to do it. I agree. He should have eaten Jake. Yeah. I think he was being a little too kind, because normally there would have been a couple uppercuts in there. Tyron Woodley is in a sport where he's used to having to watch feet, takedowns, and punches and elbows. That can come from the most awkward angles, because when somebody's extremely close, you can throw an elbow. Yeah, like after seeing his poor defense or lack of defense and his subpar offense, Jake Paul is gonna get in there with somebody that's gonna, man. Those of us that are used to hitting with those type of gloves, Jake Paul doesn't see the light of day, bro. It's just not gonna go the way he thinks it's gonna go. And at this point, I don't even know if he really thinks that highly of himself as a fighter anymore. How could he? Honestly, yeah, if he wants to take fighting serious, but the dude started eating fast food after the weigh-in. Nah. And you know what bothers me? A lot of these casual fans seem to respect Jake Paul more than they respect Deontay Wilder. That's disrespectful. That is so disrespectful. I'm not going for it, bro. Jake Paul gets respect before Deontay Wilder. That's how y'all feel. Like, come on. Like, what has he done? He hasn't done nothing to earn my respect. He hasn't even done enough to make me like him as a person. Like, at a certain point, something's got to give, bro. Like, I'm not willing to pretend that this dude is a real fighter. You won't get that up out of me, bro. Snake ball. I used to be a Jake Paul fan when him and his brother would do pranks. Yeah, that's another thing. That's how he got famous. Y'all ain't seen me do no pranks. Now, am I as well known as Jake Paul? No, I'm not. I'm still under 10K. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have the platform I have right now where people actually respect me as a man and do not see me as an ignorant individual. I'd rather have my platform and my fan base and my core followers or subscribers. I'd rather have this than what he has because he's got a bunch of people that are just waiting for him to do something stupid. Would I rather have his bank account over mine? Of course. Who wouldn't? But man, protect your reputation above all. Like I'm not gonna make millions and millions of people hate me. As much as it seems like people hate Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather doesn't have millions of people that hate him, but Jake Paul does. Some of his subscribers hate him. They just want to see something bad happen to him. A lot of people ain't gonna get it, man. Y'all keep giving this guy props for subpar performances and for not fighting any boxers, and he's gonna keep doing the same thing. He's just gonna keep doing it. Oh, Conor McGregor is not gonna be that nice. Not only that, I don't think the judges would rob Conor McGregor. It's and I like I really don't like to make it about race, but boxing is one of the most racist sports there is. I haven't seen it yet in MMA, but in boxing, it's very racist. It is very easy for them to put a black man in that ring and rob him of a win. It happens to some of the cats from some of the pros from my gym. Floyd made a lot of money because people were paying to see him lose and he never lost. So they kept tuning back in. Oh, he made a lot of people a lot of money. Yeah, that too. I read that wrong, bro. Poirier O'Connor is gonna do it too. Right. Honestly, just keep in mind, he's not calling out anybody his size. Like for you to call out somebody that's in a different sport and not even fight at, not, they're not even your size. Tyron Woodley weighed in the same as him because he did no cutting. Jake Paul cut weight to make weight, and then he rehydrated the next day. The same day, and walked into the ring probably a good 10 pounds heavier. Because, whenever you walk around upwards of 200 pounds, it's when you rehydrate, you can easily put on 10 to 15 pounds. Because I'm a welterweight, and whenever I rehydrate, I put on 5 pounds. If I can put on 5 pounds from hydrating at welterweight, I guarantee you somebody that's as big and as spread out as Jake Paul can put on 10 pounds. And I put that weight on just eating normal meals. Like, I don't stuff my face. I used to, not no more. All right, I'll catch you later, Norman. And honestly, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to stream again tomorrow. I'm going to get more consistent with this. We're going to go over a variety of different topics. But, hold on 1 second. You think Jake took PEDs? Yes, I do. I definitely do. I mean, that's the only way to explain how his jaw keeps getting longer and longer. But I'm not going to throw accusations out there. I'm just going to say I do believe that. And, everything done in the dark comes to the light. So we'll know sooner than later if he did. But with that said, I got to go. I'm going to jump on here tomorrow, and we're going to have a completely different topic. Love y'all. I'll fit in. Out.